Let's continue on making the lamp. The first thing I want to do is to take the dimmer controller and remove the twisty potentiometer. I don't really like them. They're kind of small, and I want something that is a bit more usable. I can look at it and see kind of the level it's on at a glance. And I just kind of think that the slide potentiometers are a little bit cooler. Removing this little potentiometer was kind of a pain, so I'm gonna have to resort to a couple of different methods. I'll try adding some normal leaded solder to help lower the melting temperature. That always makes things easier. And then I'll go through and do things like trying to wick away as much of it as I can. I'll use a solder sucker. Eventually, I just resort to using some hot air to get this thing off the board. The dimmer switch that was originally on this was a 5-pin dimmer switch. That means 3 pins are used for the potentiometer, just like in this linear one here. The other two are used as sort of just a place for an extra switch. All right, let's start getting things in the box. I've got this 6 millimeter thick piece of steel that adds weight. It also gives me something to mount to. Turns out that mild steel, 6 millimeters thick, um, is difficult to work with, especially if you have very low quality tools. I had a drill press that cost less than $10. It was basically an adapter for a house drill that I bought at I think Aldi, and it did the job. I was able to drill some holes. Was not very exact, but I it was such a frustrating process. I'm not bothering to add much of the video footage of that. I just want to put this thing together. I'm getting so close to finishing this. I can taste it. I think the biggest thing that I have to deal with next is drilling some big holes for the goosenecks, and also I need a square hole to put in the inlet power, and a round hole for the on-off switch, and then a groove for the fader. That stuff's going to take some time. I'm not certain how much of it I'm going to video, because working with metal is it's frustrating. I found these little quick connectors, they're quick snap connectors. You just push some wires in, you push them closed with some pliers, and that's it. No cutting, no soldering. I think I'm going to try them out. I think this is a way to kind of make the design a little bit more modular, so that I can take pieces off, work on them without having to disassemble bigger parts of the lamp. Making the goosenecks ended up being a bit more time consuming than I thought it would be. I really enjoyed it. What I decided to do was to use some stainless steel parts and these small aluminum LEDs. Um, they fit inside the pipe opening that I want to use with a small rubber gasket. But I have to do a few things just to make them fit. The big thing is I've got to uh, have this little plastic lens holder, so that it fits flush with the LED, and that requires a little bit of finagling. I first started by using a Dremel to kind of open the lens holder up a little bit, and then I end up using a soldering iron to kind of melt the plastic, just to get it out of the way from where the leads from the LED go. And then when it's all flush, I'll put it inside the end of the gooseneck, put it all together, and then my final step is going to be to just assemble everything after I get the holes drilled and the groove drilled for the box. This is not the safest way to do this. I highly recommend, if you can have access to better tools, safety equipment, gloves, do that. Do that. I recommend that wholeheartedly. Do you ever notice the earring on this guy? Here's a fun fact. Mr. Clean has always had that earring since 1958. I mean, I just never noticed. I want to point out that all the things that I've done so far have not been groundbreaking. I didn't have to design any electronics. I didn't have to figure out ways to do something that nobody's ever done before. All these pieces that I bought, the dimmer, the power supply, I bought them directly through a website. I connected them. I've changed some parts like the potentiometer for something that pushes, because I like that style more. But this is something I think that anyone could really do. If you're comfortable using a drill, if you're comfortable doing some moderate things in a shop, I would encourage you to build your own things. I think that sometimes this is a very rewarding experience. It worked. It was beautiful. I loved it. It lasted less than 5 minutes. I have to be honest with myself. The fact is that these gooseneck stocks, I really loved them. I thought they were great, but they got some weight to them. The truth is that I had a really bad idea that I loved. I absolutely loved it. That idea was to use cheap plumbing parts to make the parts of a lamp. And while I still think there's some merit to that, the fact is I used extremely cheap plumbing parts and they just couldn't handle the weight. This part snapped off within 5 minutes. Plus, with the things as they are, even with metal inside the box, stocks are too heavy. I'm gonna have to go back to the drawing board. I think I'm going to do what I should have done in the beginning. Use some more tried and true parts and see if I can make the lamp an even cheaper and I guess maybe a more usable way. So there'll be one more part to this, a part three.